Welcome to Locally Sourced. I'm Armanda Familetti. Videos are everywhere, not just because they're fun to watch, but because they're fun to make. Tonight, my two guests are a young videographer and her mentor. Welcome, Jacey Ferraro and Frank Reale. Thanks so much for coming.
Oh, you're welcome.
So Frank, let's just start in. You're the mentor, you're the young videographer. Tell me about your organization.
Our organization, Peers Influence Peers Partnership, was started in 1994 as a result of an interest of some young people who wanted to do something to affect the decisions, the bad decisions that maybe their peers were making. So at that time they wanted to use video because we had a little middle school video club, and from that point they decided to go further with it. So we ended up having live broadcast shows. And then we went to a tape-based show, and then we went to a statewide broadcast, and then we went to national broadcasts where we had 1,500 sites throughout the country that would air our program. And we actually had our program air in Canada, Bermuda, Jamaica, Uganda, and, no, not Uganda, I'm sorry, wrong country, Kenya and New Zealand.
Wow.
Now our program is, because the media, young people don't look at that media as much anymore. They don't look at public access channels. So what we now do is distribute our work on Facebook and
YouTube?
Yeah.
Great, okay. So let's go back a little. You said middle school. So you're a local organization, right?
We were founded.
Where did you start?
We founded in Putnam Valley with middle school kids, and we have now had kids involved in our program from Lakeland High School, Panis High School, Carmel High School, Mayapack High School, Haldane High School, Yorktown High School, John Jay High School, Peekskill High School. So we have kids from a number of different local schools that participate. And then we've reached out when we travel across the country. We've been to California, Oklahoma, Texas. So we hook up with organizations, youth organizations in that part of the country, those parts of the country as well. And we're planning to go to Atlanta, Georgia in January to meet with the folks at the CDC, Center for Disease Control. And while we're there, we're going to connect with a youth group down there and work with them on some video projects.
So you're a local organization, but you do have really a national and international reach.
Yes, we do.
In some ways. So you said that you were broadcasting all over, at one point all over the world practically, Africa. These were mostly on public access stations?
Public access channels and public broadcasting stations. Obviously, we actually had our show air on Channel 13. Now that's a huge public broadcasting station. One year we had it there, but we've been in smaller public broadcasting stations in other parts of the country.
Okay. I just want to remind you that we're in a public access station.
Yes, we are, yes.
That Comcast Channel 8 is public access. It's open to anyone who wants to come in, have their own show, learn how to use cameras and all kinds of broadcasting equipment. So I just want to put a plug in for this all-volunteer organization. Comcast actually does employ a couple of coordinators that help us and train us. But most of the shows, everything you see on public access, is produced by the community for the community. So it's very interesting that you said that public access was a big help in terms of getting your products out to the people. So tell me a little bit more about why you think it's important to train young people in how to do video and film.
Well, it's interesting because we always talk about the smoke and mirrors that can be done in film, how we shoot a scene that looks like it's someplace that really isn't, and that you can manipulate video. So one has to be a very savvy consumer to understand media, to know how it's manipulated, for good and for bad. So we try to manipulate media for good, to tell a story that there are better options than the use of drugs. There are resources that you can go to when one is considering depression and suicide. There are resources to go to when one is in a situation where being abused by their partners. That's what our focus is, to let people know that these things exist. And what's interesting is that we have our young people that do the research, that write the scripts, that act and do the behind-the-scenes camera work, production, and even distribution. We had a couple of years ago, we had one student that took our system from something like, I forget how many stations, but he doubled the number of stations throughout the United States that would broadcast our show by getting on the phone and calling people. So distribution, every element of our film project involves young people.
So do you think it reaches young people in a specific way when it is produced by youth, speaking to youth? Do you think that it has more impact because all of these, mostly what you do are PSAs that are produced by youth who are targeting youth to say, be careful, right?
Let's have Jacey answer that first.
Well, we're told in school, don't use drugs and to stay away from bad things already by adults. But hearing it from someone who's either been through it already or has done research on it and knows enough about it to help other people, it's a completely different perspective, and I think that teens and kids are more likely to listen to them rather than if it's coming from an adult.
So what are you doing with the group, Jacey?
I usually write the scripts and sometimes star in the movies that we create in the PSAs.
That's terrific. So you do movies and PSAs.
We have three components that we work, three types of projects. We do the 30-second public service announcements, the one on suicide, which hopefully we'll see in a little bit. We do scripted dramas, of which Jacey wrote the one we're working on right now and one we worked on last year.
And how long are they usually?
It varies in length, anywhere from 20 minutes up to an hour. Or
really?
Just over an hour.
Wow.
Yeah. We also do documentaries. We had a documentary that we did last year, which is on recovery from opiate addiction, and very interesting. And that was just about an hour. We did one in 2014 called "Chasing It," which was the dangers of the opiate addiction, how it's become so pervasive in our society right now.
And that was a longer film?
That was 46 minutes.
Wow. Okay, because we are going to show a video.
What you're showing a trailer from Chasing Life. We had Chasing It, which was how bad the opiate addiction was, and then we did Chasing Life on recovery from opiate addiction.
Okay, so what video are we going to see now? Is it Chasing
Life?
Well,
we have Chasing Life, which is the recovery one, which is now being distributed to libraries and colleges and high schools throughout the country.
Okay, so I'm going to ask our director, Dylan, to let me know when we're ready for that video. And it's going to come up right now. Okay, great. So this is Chasing Life.
Unfortunately, we just could not get there in time.
It took me up, down, left, right, everywhere.
Why didn't he reach out to someone? Why didn't he tell someone?
EGALA is a model of equine-assisted psychotherapy, horses helping people.
Here they teach you how to sit with yourself and just be able to meditate and think about your actions and be accountable for the things you do. And there's a brotherhood here. And today, with the help of this program and the people involved, I have learned that I am a man worthy of love and respect.
Joseph, can you tell me a little bit about the clubhouse?
Wow, that was very, very intriguing. So that's just a trailer for a 46-minute feature.
Right, that's correct.
Now, if I want to see the rest of that, because now I'm really intrigued by what I saw in the trailer, where do I go to find that?
Okay, we have an agreement with the distribution company. So best way to do it is just to email me and I can send you the information.
So I can't just go to YouTube and find that?
No. See, part of the issue is that that was about $10,000 just to produce that film. So, we have to pay for it. So what we do is we have the distribution company that sells the rights to that film to the different libraries that will air it. It's really inexpensive, but we have to do it that way, and then we get royalties from that.
So that I could go to my local library to find that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they would lend it to you.
Terrific. Are they in all the libraries?
Not yet. It's just in the process of doing it now because we just finished that film. That film was finished just in last year. So it takes about a year before it actually goes through the process where it's ready for distribution. We're very close to it, though. It should be distributed probably in January.
Okay, right. So that cost $10,000. How was it paid for?
We're very fortunate to have, for many years now, have the support of the Putnam County legislature, the whole group of them.
I know what you mean. Those
Yes.
folks over there in the
Those folks over there.
courthouse. Yeah.
They have been wonderful and very supportive well over almost the entire time of our 25 years.
Okay. So taxpayers.
Yeah, they do. They support us. We get
I'm
grant money.
supporting you.
Yes,
Okay. Well, I feel proud about that.
We
Thank
get
you.
grant money from various organizations. The Hope for Youth Foundation, that if you know Jim Witt, who used to be the weatherman back in the day for HUD.
No.
He has a foundation that gives us money every year to work on our projects. Very supportive, and he's been supporting us for well over 20 years as well. So, and private donations.
Terrific.
And we get a little royalty money from 2 of our films. This is only the 2nd film we've ever done this with.
Okay.
Most of our stuff is online.
On YouTube?
Yeah.
So I would go to where would I find it on YouTube?
Well, you could go to our website, peerspartnership.org, and then there's links to a lot of our PSAs, trailers we don't put the entire hour-long film on because people won't watch it an hour long. But for $10, they can get one from Amazon.com.
That's terrific. That's how much if you want to buy a DVD?
Full DVD. But there are lots of
And does that money come back to you in any way?
Yeah,
or?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Okay, so that helps fund your organization as well?
Because our grant money accounts for approximately about 30% of our budget. So we have to raise the rest of it.
Okay, and speaking of raising money, I understand that you're having a gala in May. I assume that's a fundraising aspect to that?
Yes, this is our 25th year of operation.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You've been with it for 25 years.
Yes,
That's
she
amazing.
has. Doesn't she look great?
She really, just doing what you love, right?
Yes.
Keeps you young. Okay.
So we have an event that's going to be held at the Peekskill's Paramount Hudson Valley Theater, beautiful theater in Peekskill. And it's on May 19th in 2018. And we're looking forward to it. We'll have highlights from various shows that we've done over the years. When you think about it, we have some astounding work that the kids have done. We've won 10 Telly Awards. We've won a number of communicator awards. We were recognized in 2004 by President Bush as one of the 1,000 Points of Light for our community service.
Excellent.
So we have a lot of great stuff to share with the audience that day.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like Putnam County should be very proud of your organization.
Oh, I'm very proud of our young people.
Influencing peers. So speaking of young people, you've been doing this for 25 years. So do people, do they stay with it or do they age out? Is there an age limit?
It's interesting that you say that. The vice president of our company started when he was in high school, and he was in one of our films. And he liked it so much, he went to acting school, because he wasn't a film actor, but he went to acting school and studied acting in film, and is now our vice president, works with the kids all the time. We had a number of students that have been with us for many years, like 9, 10 years, even though they aged out technically. But what I really enjoy telling is about a student that we had, and this is many of them. We've had a number of these students that went on to careers in film. 5 of them have won their own Emmy Awards in television. One, if I have the time, is this young man, Danny from Brooklyn, who joined us. He wasn't quite sure whether he was going to be a gangster or a student. His mother contacted a mutual friend, and we took him on our production trip to California. He'd never been on a production trip. He never had anything to do with film whatsoever. And he was the only kid. He was he
He was from Brooklyn.
He was
so,
from Brooklyn, and he never said a word until the last day there. He was saying, I just love this. I want to do this when I get back to Brooklyn. And I'm thinking to myself, I just hope you pass math, because he was failing all the subjects. Well, he ends up going back to Brooklyn, produces a film on growing up in Brooklyn, and wins a Youth Emmy Award.
Wow.
Gets a scholarship to
His
go
first film.
His first film. Gets a scholarship to go to Thailand and gets nominated for another Youth Emmy Award. And in the course of his senior year in high school, he does a film on the violence of Brooklyn. Now that film was accepted to the San Francisco Black Filmmakers Festival, the UN Youth Film Festival, the Tribeca Film Festival, where it won the Rubenstein Award.
Has he graduated high school yet?
Well, we're getting there. So he wins these awards. It's actually considered for an Academy Award nomination. What? He's one of the top 10 for an Academy Award nomination for his short documentary. Graduates from high school valedictorian. Gets a full ride to Claflin University.
This is a movie in its own.
Yeah. Gets a full ride to Claflin University. His mother calls me up from the graduation stands. Tell me he just graduated magna cum laude, and now he works for NBC.
Wow. That is, and he's going to be at the gala, I hope.
I hope so too.
That would be terrific. So a lot of your alumni are going to come back. And
we have a couple that we have. Jeremy Redleaf, who's a film producer, had a theater release film of his own. He's going to perform for us at the gala.
Okay, that name sounds familiar. No, maybe I saw it because I went to your website.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure. But anyways, one of the things I saw on your website, which I thought was really interesting there, it wasn't a full film, but I recognized one of our former legislators.
Sam Oliveira. Sam Oliveira was not in one film. Sam Oliveira has been just about in every film. He's even in the film we're working on right now.
Yeah. Really?
Yes.
He's a great personality, and I can see where
there's a scene that he does.
He's not playing himself. He's playing a character,
Oh, no,
right?
right. Yeah. He plays a lawyer in a film we did called Fine Lines. And he plays a lawyer where he's defending an autistic a young person who being considered to be taken away from his parents because there was a death involved. And he defends the autistic kid and does a brilliant job. And he's not an actor. He's a legislator.
I watched it. It was pretty good, I have to say. And I was watching and I thought, that guy looks really familiar. I think I know him. And then I saw in the credits that it was him.
Mm-hmm.
So you're doing a lot of work locally. You're doing it nationally. And sometimes you bring in people from the city, New York City. There was one film that I saw, I think it's a 30-second clip, and it was about the opioid crisis. Is that what I'm thinking of? Or
maybe the suicide prevention?
The suicide, right. And we have a clip of that. So the director's going to let me know when that video is ready to come up, and here it comes now. So great.
What's the point? It's hopeless.
If I knew,
He was always so happy.
stop him.
You just asked to see me the other
I
day.
never thought it would be him.
That's very powerful.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
very, it's amazing that you can tell a story in 30 seconds.
Yes.
And you don't need to do a 46-minute production
No.
to be able to impact and make an impact. So I think that that's what you're training
Exactly.
these young folks.
Exactly.
So how many people right now, what are the ages from what to what?
14 to about 18, right?
And
then we have some that are in their 20s.
Right,
Robert's
a few
in his
hangers
20s. I think
on.
Robert's 20.
Is he?
Yeah.
You don't throw them out
No,
at
no,
18.
they stay on.
So how many are with your group right now, would you say?
25?
24, 25?
24,
Yeah.
25.
Wow, and they're active. Are they all active
Yeah,
doing?
yeah.
Now, do they work on separate individual projects,
It
or do
depends
you all work
depends
on
what-
one
At
project?
this point, we're all working on one project and a screenplay that Jacey wrote. Maybe Jacey can talk about what the point of the screenplay
Yeah.
is.
Sure.
Maybe you can, Jacey.
Maybe
I bet you can.
I bet I can. The screenplay is talking about marijuana use in teens and in high school kids. Because of the medical marijuana, which causes a lot of misconceptions about the drug itself. Because people see that the use can be medical, they see it as not harmful, like
right.
it can't do any harm or anything, but it has shown that it can really damage the life of a teenager, especially since their brain isn't fully developed. So using drugs like that can actually have like a more dramatic effect than if it were an adult who was using it. So this film, the screenplay that I wrote, it talks about, it brings you through the life of a female teenager who, because of her injury, feels like she has to turn to marijuana to help her pain. And
does she get a prescription or no?
No, her friend gives it to her, saying it'll help her, but it ends up hurting her, and she ends up in a lot more trouble than she would have if she hadn't taken.
Wow.
marijuana.
Is this based on someone you know, or no?
No, it's
that's good.
Well, one of the things we're going to Atlanta for is to talk to the folks at the CDC who are a premier research facility in the world. We're talking to one of their experts about how marijuana does affect young people. There's such, as Jacey very correctly pointed out, there's such a controversy about it. Is it safe? It's safe. And we all know that the development of the brain, which is the most complicated organism in our body, takes a lot longer to develop than your muscles and your bones and everything else. So
mine is still developing.
Yeah, very often it's not fully developed.
Or it's going the wrong way.
Until the age of 23, 24, even 25, where it's fully developed. So during the course of that time frame, the use of prescription drugs or opiates or marijuana or LSD or any of these types of drugs that affect the brain tell the brain this is the new normal. So your brain is wired then that this is the normal when it's not.
Right. Well, we know that a mother who takes drugs and then has a fetus, developing fetus, that fetus is effective for the rest of their life usually because it does often damage the brain.
That's correct.
So yeah, it makes sense if your brain isn't completely developed and you take mind-altering drugs, even something like marijuana, that you're opening a door to some trouble there, right? So thank you for writing that film. What's the timeline? When are we all going to be able to see it?
The May 19th premiere.
Oh, terrific. How exciting for you. That's terrific.
And it's interesting that the topic was brought about because the communities that care coalitions of Putnam County, they were the ones that said, this is what we really need to address. So it's based upon their input that we said, okay, let's do it. This is what we need to address.
Yeah, so we had Cove Care on a few programs ago. Are you partnering with any of the Arms Acres or Cove Care or any of the organizations?
We had partnered at one time with Arms Acres a couple of years ago. We did a film at their facility and we worked with Nora Shalinsky. So that was fun. That's actually Vice President Stephen. That was when he was a junior in high school. No, senior in high school is when he worked on that one.
Wow.
So that was 2011.
So we're actually running out of a little of time here, but I do want to say, after 25 years, what are you most proud of?
25 years, and what am I most proud of? I would have to say, probably this would symbolize it. Our very first drama we ever did was a drama about a kid who was a good kid, but gets involved in a car accident where he kills one of his friends. And he wasn't drinking; he only had a beer or two, But he was a distracted driver, gets killed in an accident, and they bring him to the hospital. And his father happens to be an emergency room doctor. So that's the film itself was what I'm really proud of. Of course, I'm very proud of the film. But the next day, after we aired that on public access channels, we got a phone call from a father who said, "Thank you so much," because after we looked at that film, my son that was out the night before didn't come home until he was 8th grade. He'd been drinking and didn't come home until 3 o'clock the following afternoon. And based upon watching that film together as a family, they decided to go get family counseling.
Wow. So it's not just marijuana, it's alcohol too that affects
absolutely.
the brain in young people
Absolutely.
and can kill them, really. People have died from alcohol poisoning. It doesn't get as much press as other drugs, but it is very sad that that can happen. So I've been so glad that the two of you are here. If I'm a kid, well, I'm not, but let's say that I'm in high school, 14 to 18, and I'm really interested in what you're doing and learning about film and video, what do I do? How do I contact you?
Well, you can go to our website and then connect with us there, email us, or phone call.
That's Peers Partnership?
peerspartnership.org.
Terrific. And then take it from there.
Yes.
And do you have any qualifications? Do I need to have any qualifications? I just need to be 14 to 18.
No, you don't need to be 14 to 18. You need to be over 13. We have adults that come and volunteer that be actors, because you're always looking for adult actors.
Sam Oliverio.
So we're always looking for folks that would help out. But even if they help out, for example, we're always looking for locations, like somebody's house. Come film in my house.
Okay. So this is open to everyone. And will it cost me anything to join your group?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
And I'm going to get all this training.
Yes.
And like our friend from Brooklyn, maybe someday I'll get an Academy Award.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a stretch now.
Or an Emmy. We've had a number of Emmys.
That is fantastic. That is so fantastic. So thanks so much, Jacey. It's a
Thank you.
pleasure to meet you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
I'll come to the gala and I'll see you the
That'd be great.
premiere of your film.
Wonderful.
And thanks.
Thank
It
you
was
for
great
having
to
us.
meet you. I met you at Putnam Valley Day.
Yes.
So go to Putnam Valley Day. You never know who you're going to meet. And I just want to, of course, thank this wonderful crew, volunteer crew that we have every week, and the coordinators here at Comcast. And thanks for watching. Till next time.